A while ago, I did a part of the reason for that spike in just talking about relationships that weren't romantic was that I had neglected to talk about the more so larger issue I've had with them, which is the fact that it seems they've effectively sucked the fun out of meeting or interacting with people at all. So, for example, let's say you have a person who, I don't know, is entering high school. Let me say hello to Envoy. And he or she, finds himself kind of beside themselves, and their attempts to try and get people to talk with are, I'll go watch the other person's stream, Bro Vulture. You can skip this one. This is filler. The person has trouble with meeting new people in high school, and they go online to read how to make friends, and they read all these tips and tricks about what they should do. And I always kind of, one of the few things I felt blessed by was the fact that I've never post um, kindergarten had to worry about having a companion. I had the same primary one from first to I think 10th grade, and then the second one I'd known for just about as long. So the point is that I never knew what it was like to just feel completely isolated in the context of having not a single person you can speak with. I've had periods where the people I like to talk with, I felt weren't reciprocating, but I've never just completely had not a single individual I can share some particular thing of what bothers me with. Especially since many of them have actually, or many of the people I've talked with, not even considering friends but just acquaintances, have the same romantic problem. They find themselves in the same ditch when it comes to this issue. But when I was sitting back and I was talking with one of them earlier today, um, and we'd kind of set up this thing of calling each other at a certain time, a little scheduled interaction. I realized that all of the interactions we've had, and it's been going on for months now, are the primary result of two people enjoying the company of each other, which I think relationships at their best should be about, and both of us mutually wanting to contact the other one. This has been the case with other interactions I've had as well when I've scheduled talks or sometimes just randomly get called by somebody. But the point is, you have two people who want to reciprocate an action, and unfortunately, in the setup of the way things are, we not only have people that typically just want money or some other nonsense out of those they interact with, but now we've gone and further digressed to where people who call themselves trying to help you with meeting others are effectively telling you to screw genuine desire for that person. You can't like a woman based off of, or rather, if you're a woman, you're from what the a lot of these relationship gurus say, you can't like a man based off his personality or his potential or his actual care and concern for you. No, no, no. It all has to be about money and how big his abs are and some other nonsense. And I actually had one commenter who dissuaded this notion and said there are plenty of males of all sizes and races who've been able to pull this off successfully. But it's all homogenized and nonsensical. Um, how big his abs are? Yeah, homeboy. Cameron says just joined. I guess I'm glad about that. Solitude is important for growth. I really believe that I've cut off many negative forces or people to grow. Well, that's kind of the thing. When I was, um, I guess, smaller, if we can call it that, just growing up, the narrative that was presented to me was that people have to be outgoing, they have to want to talk to others, they have to want to speak with loads and loads of people, just in human interaction. But it seemed for as long as I can remember, there was always a person or a series of people who, whether it was in school or down the street or in some other um, atmosphere of life, completely determined that they were just going to suck the fun out of interactions. They were going to speak nastily about individuals to their face. They were going to, you know, go out of their way really to make it known to you, the person they don't like, that they don't like you. And I am far from saying I'm some innocent angel. But one of the things I've tried to do with my critiques of others is actually give a reason. So if there's some, you know, person I'm not that big a fan of talking with, I'll just tell them up front, I don't think this is going to work. I won't sugarcoat it and pretend that supposedly, oh no, it just didn't work out. No, if it didn't start, it's because I didn't want it to start. And I really wish more people would just outright say, I don't want this. And I feel as though that willingness to put off how, it, displaying how you actually feel is part of a larger problem where we just can't um, accept the fact that fakeness is an issue. We've made it thanks to the hyper. I don't even know what you'll call it. This push for the perfect woman that some people have. Not certainly not everybody, because we've already been over like where we break our standards all the time. But just you have some guys who will say, I want a woman to have large breast and large behind and all this other nonsense. But what I'm referring to, oh my God, I'm worried about to lose my point. You must really meet some who simply can't say no. I don't want this. Yeah, that's been the case that I've seen where people either are just outwardly distasteful towards someone else, or they have this reluctance to just make it known how they feel. They have to backpedal and, oh well, I'm not entirely opposed. It's just say it. But that's been something that they seem to not be able to do. Let's see it here. But yeah, a good example of what I'm talking about comes from the comment section, actually. You have people such as right now who I think genuinely want to discuss the topic, and then you'll have someone who comes around um, during the stream. And I find it ironic because when Envoy talked about his preferences for this form of interaction, so you can be interactive with the person who is in the stream or just the person who's actually talking or speaking. Um, from what we've seen in many cases, there's always that one individual who comes in and I'll get caught off guard by it or otherwise mess up. And it always feels really horrible because I don't want everyone that doesn't do that to suffer. But at the same time, if I have a message and it's getting, I guess, moved around or shifted a bit from someone else coming in, I'm going to have this urge, this desire to not see it messed with or otherwise tampered in the way it's discussed. We have difficult time. Both depends on situation. String people along and not being blunt is what seems to always happen during conversations with people. Yeah, but Broad Vulture, here's the thing. It's gotten to a point now where if it's something platonic, you'll have a guy who answers maybe one in every 5 or 6 messages from some other person and goes, "Oh yeah, you're my friend." And then you'll have a woman who talks with a man for 2 or 3 months just to say, "I don't like how you look. I don't like anything about you." And then you say, "Well, then why'd you speak to me for so long?" Um, I always used to think, and this is part of the problem when we have these troubles with interactions. A lot of times, as the person who feels rejected or otherwise pushed back, you start to think there's something wrong with you, and that's been something that some of the people in the comments section have talked about, um, and just go in there and mess with. No, I'm not upset with you, Cameron. For Chad, you can continue. I'm just saying that there are people who mess things up. When it's fresh, if you missed anything, you can go and replay it. That's the joy of streams. You can turn that thing on and start at the beginning and keep it going. There are so many that just want attention. BBS says people show me every day why it's best to be introverted sometimes. Well, let me put it to you this way. One of the critiques that's been put to me and many others that I've spoken with who follow my doctrine is that, if you put yourself in some box or some, scenario where you're not just around others, how can you expect to get the things you want? But the problem I have with that saying is that in a lot of cases, the things you want are coupled by assistance from others. So if you're a guy who wants a family, and you go out and talk to 40 or 50 women and they all, turn you down or ignore your messages or end it abruptly, you're going to say screw it and you're going to get secluded and go into your own little circle in a lot of cases. That's one, possibility. But you're going to feel vindicated by the fact that you went out and tried, and even though it didn't work, you still in your view, gave it your all. You went online, you went in person, you watched the little dating videos or whatever. Uh, yeah, Socrates or Plato, the Monroe Doctrine. But anyways, that's one part of it. The other part is if you want, let's say, 20 or 30 friends and you go around the neighborhood shaking everybody's hand and hey, what's going on, man? My name is da 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 da, and then everyone ignores you. You're gonna say, I'll take the few that I have, screw the other ones. That's kind of where I am at this point, where I'm not adverse just to talking to new people, but as far as sticking my neck out and hoping that someone reciprocates, me just aggressively going after it, there's no point. Um, and what I've tried to present is that people who still feel at points of doing it, by all means, continue. The issue that I don't want a lot of people in here to get trapped by is the idea that you have an internal problem because you're not able to secure a type of relationship with people. So, for example, I described earlier feeling bad about these interactions that were platonic and romantic, and saying, "Oh man, I must not there must be something wrong with me," and yada yada yada. But then I thought to myself, wait a second, if I can sustain multiple platonic relationships year after year after year after year after year, how in the world would anyone be able to make the claim that this person has some kind of lack of social skills? It doesn't make any sense because someone who cannot interact with others isn't going to have multiple people that keep calling them and want to talk to them and actually have a dialogue and get along well with them. So I chalked it up to believing that there is a set number of individuals you are going to meet during your lifetime. It's not going to be that many who you'll relate to a little bit more on a number of things, and are more willing to just actually reach out back. I told the story of ending the relationship with what used to be my best friend, and the entire reason for that was solely predicated on the fact that every time I set up an interaction, that was all it was. It was just me setting it up every single time. I got tired of it. Okay, Envoy says, if I knew you in real life, I would hang out. I might not be into the same things that you are, Envoy. Who knows? I'm not shutting the door. I'm just saying there's always that little back room thing. Okay, Winifred says, I only have two people I talk to. Yeah, that's completely fine. That's expected by me. Even I have a tendency of leading people on. Yes, one reason is because I don't want to hurt their feelings, but I still feel a bit more attractive because of it. Oh, Bra Vulture is trying to. Oh man, excuse me. Hey, let's. I'm gonna be quiet for the rest of the stream. Bra Vulture's trying to turn people on with his will he or won't he attitude and his bravado. Pardon me. I'm the hush for the remainder of this session. Man, he really is was impressive there. Wow. But I enjoy certain topics that others sometimes frown down. Yeah. Oh no, Cameron, that's another running theme where you have an interest in something, um, and then all of a sudden, because it's not what someone else likes. This is what I don't get. I actually last year had ran into a person who is, I would consider their primary interest to be fashion and other stuff I'm just not into. Um, and I had criticized them. Actually, no, I take that back. I hadn't criticized them for being completely unaware of most political things, because I accept the fact the majority of people are not aware of these things as much as I think they should be. That being said, I actually the person who inferred I thought they were an idiot because they didn't know this, and they went, "Oh well, this person's into this thing, so that's okay because you're into your thing." I'm like, wait a second, they just criticized me, earlier for not being into the things that they were, but I'm supposed to accept the fact that they're different. They can't accept me for what I am, but I need to open them, what we call welcome them with open arms, and give them a time of assistance. It just didn't make any sense to me. Okay. Um, Winifred says, wouldn't mind. Okay, I appreciate that. I'm not frowning on you, Bro Vulture. I'm just saying that was what that comment reminded me of. You had some grand plan of behavioral patterns, like, hey, when you see this person, smile. When you see this person, frown. When you see this person, look a little bit like both. So that's what I was amused by. Let's see if anyone else is saying anything. But it's a very, one of the things I hate about not, I guess mind games, yeah, Brawl Vulture. One of the things I hate about the way, I guess, interactions online are formulated is that if you are a person who is a content creator and you want to share something personal with your audience, um, there is this tendency for those who, seek to insult you to take that thing and then use it against you. So, for example, as a result of me being aware of political things and just speaking about stuff that a lot of other people don't know about, I very rarely have people come on my page and say you're an idiot or insult my intelligence. But because they are aware of the romantic stuff, which I still feel very vindicated in, they tried to use that against me. And when they do that, it really resonates the point of why these interactions feel so pointless. We're all going to die. We're all going to be, go through pain, suffer, be destroyed one way or the other. And it feels like there's this group that just consistently and constantly can do nothing but find ways or try to find ways to make someone feel worse than they already do. And I've come to accept this for what it is, but I've also come to say to myself, it's sad that you have this person, and a lot of people have redeeming qualities. I think a lot of these people who go and write this stuff that's nasty to me, if they wanted to know the political stuff, could be geniuses on this far better than I could because all this information is public. Um, but they take the one thing that they know drag you down, which is the romance nonsense, and they try to use it against you. They try to compare you to all these different uh, evil individuals just because you said you had trouble with this. You didn't say that someone ought to get with you or any of that nonsense, but you admitted frustration with something that a lot of people are dealing with. And whenever you get these kind of comments, which I've had them, very recently, just for as long as I can remember, just talking about this topic, you are going to encounter every single problem I have with platonic interactions, a refusal to put yourself in the shoes of the other person, an unwillingness to empathize with the other individual, and a desire to harm the individual or add insult to injury. These are all the things that this group of people are experts at. This is what if they had a PhD, it would be in nastiness. And am I saying that no one can be criticized or no? No. Um, but when you sit there and you find so much fault in a man um, for an issue that is an epidemic, because like I said before, you could sit here and examine me for 5 or 6 years. It still wouldn't tell you why Envoy's having trouble with this, why VVS is having trouble with this, why, you know, I don't know about Brawl Bulch, but anybody, just pick a person. And VVS, the reason they do that is not because I'm this horrible individual. They want to believe this idea that there's something about this person that is the primary or the exact reason for why it won't work. A guy who compromises, a guy who until they pissed them off, kept all their stuff private, and even then keeps a lot of the stuff private. Um, but they want to look at that. They want to say, oh no no no, we know what's wrong with him. So if we just stop having someone be nerdy, suddenly everything will switch over. Which is what one person actually said, that I was too nerdy, as though there's some kind of bar of that trait that we can measure up and compare. Winter Fresh says, reminds me of what Lincoln once said. We would be the same way if we were in their position. Yeah, but they don't see themselves in your position. They just see a person who is having a problem and they seek to, jump on it. VVS says they also want us to believe that we have over our interactions, which I've come to the conclusion is, oh no, VVS, I started this earlier. I said you had two people with this interaction between me and this guy. We talk at a set time every week, and that is only happening because 50% of me, or at least it takes 50% from both of us to give the 100% of calling each other and actually having this dialogue. And that's how all interactions have to work if they are to be enjoyable. Both people have to want to do it. Vulture says, yeah, that's what happened to me before. Becomes so biased in her thinking that she starts to look for flaws. We're talking about how worse you are for speaking with people. It's funny that whenever I bring up these other topics, people will say you're getting off topic, but it all connects back. You see, we started with the frustration you feel from just platonic interactions. Kind of go a little over the romantic stuff. Then you go into the critics of you on the romantic stuff, and how they are exactly why I say it's better to have less people in your life. I've tried to interact with loads and loads of individuals. I noticed a gradual shift, which was that when I was in high school, I had people who, just blew me off. And after, being halfway through that, I just had no desire to participate in it, to, just be a recluse at that point, as far as just going out and talking to loads of people. Now, if there's one person in particular, I'll say, hey, what's up, man? Let me tell you about that. But as far as, oh, this group, I'm going to hang out with them and, oh, yeah, we're all going to go over it. No, because there's too much of a bad track record when it comes to having a large span of individuals who are pretty much only together because of location. Now, if it's some kind of, you know, convention of people who are like-minded, all right, whatever. But this whole thing of, oh yeah, if you just hang out with these guys, man, everything will be different. Man, get out of here with that. So maybe that answered. I can't pronounce this name. I'm sorry. You're you're gonna have to send me the pronunciation sheet for that one. I'm not trying to be funny. I genuinely can't pronounce it. But all this stuff connects. You there is a I think there is an underlying reason for why you should watch, even if you're not in the political stuff. You can look at a lot of things in history, um, and push it into what's going on now. I think that, for example, the Me Too thing where we're not even just that, actually, scratch that. This whole thing of going and looking at some guy that you know nothing about other than a YouTube clip or some YouTube comments if you're like a subscriber or follower of mine, and then saying, oh, this person must be this because of what he wrote here. I think it's nothing short of McCarthyism. It's just a witch hunt that is designed to produce the hysteria that anyone who acts a certain way is, dangerous or going to do something. Anyone who says I'm tired of, people, must have some hatred or vendetta against others. When in reality, you're just tired of it. Yeah, VVS has it correct. He says, yeah, he says, yeah, I'm tired of it. You're done. You've had your fill. That's how I am. I am open to, like, let's say I get a private message from Envoy, I'll speak to him, or VVS, somebody else. I've done that in the past, but as far as just going out to large groups and trying to talk with new guys and get friends from them, or try to talk to some woman and get her to like me in the 1% chance that that's actually happened, I've had my fill. I'm tired of the headaches, drama, and just downright incompetence that comes from a lot of people in the current era. Is it everybody? No. Because I've told you about instances where I've met people who didn't act this way, and I try to hold on to them as tightly as I can, metaphorically, of course, because I know what it's like to go through loads of individuals that don't get you and aren't trying to get you. They are disguising their true intention to make life any worse than it has to be. Um, as I said before, when you feel an impulse to write some demeaning comments or go on someone else's page, and blast them, understand this is this game isn't going to last forever, and for a lot of us, it's going to end quicker than we think. VVS is, like I said moments ago, I had a recently set up a date website, um, and because I expected, but it adds to the belief that it will never work. Oh yeah, yeah. Of course, well, I'm not surprised by that. I think even though, and this is no crack at VVS, I think that could have been anybody, and they would have still done that. And two, I don't know if it's a consequence of that. I just think that these labels are so lame. Just I don't know why we can't just say, I'm a person who's tired of this one thing. I'm sick of this one issue. So, for example, I wouldn't call myself an introvert at all. I'm a guy who likes the people that I like, um, and more people can come around and possibly be liked by me. But if they don't, so what? Now, does that mean I don't want to talk to more? No, but I understand what boat I'm in, which is a person who is willing to accept others for what they are and just ask for that back. And when I don't get that back, I say screw it. And I think more people should do that. I think if more people just surround themselves by those that they thought, without a shadow of a doubt, the pros outweigh the cons, you wouldn't have depression, you wouldn't have disillusion. It would very much easily be a complete shift in gears. Now, some people would still be upset by things, like a natural disaster or some other issue. But as far as having people day after day after day not only not get what you're going through, but try to make it worse with their rhetoric or some other action of theirs, it's not worth it. They shouldn't be trying to do it, and you shouldn't be trying to give them the time of day. I know I don't. There was a time when I don't say this to make myself seem better. Um, but there was a time when I used to see a lot of women walk past me and get impressed and go, wow. But then and even now I still sometimes relapse and go, oh man, she looks so nice. But what you always have to remind yourself of is the fact that this person um, is going to get hit on by tens and dozens of other dudes, and you have nothing to gain from admiring the way they look. Certainly not from telling them. I just think this fake niceness needs to be over. Like, I wish the people who wrote these comments would just say, this person's an idiot, I'm going to leave them alone. I wish the, women that write these comments defending the ones I talk about, even though they never met them, would say this guy's an idiot or a misogynist, I'm going to leave him alone. I just wish it was over, um, as far as these back and forths are concerned. Now, the interactions I enjoy, which is kind of what we've had right now, where no one's really acting ridiculous. This is preferable. But they won't cut that out and remember that. They'll just remember him saying, "What do you mean you're tired of most people? What do you mean you're sick of majority of things? That's crazy." Have contributed, and those that are yet to come. So, thanks.